Good evening. There's a song by Julio Iglesias that was very popular in the 1970s and 1980s. And the lyrics go, my wife begged me not to sing them. Un canto a Galicia, tierra de mi padre. Un canto a Galicia, que es mi tierra madre. The song is a homage to Galicia, the region of northern Spain. And it's a calling to Gallegos who are living outside of their place of origin. My dad, so a picture of my dad over there, Ramon Sr., he's from Galicia. And he would constantly play this song in the car and in the house when I was a young boy. And, for him, he felt a strong desire to go back to his place of origin. This song for me at the time was not my most favorite. It didn't resonate with my experience. I much preferred songs by MC Hammer and Michael Jackson. But it spoke to his experience. And I'm the son of two immigrants, and my life story has been shaped by being a native and a migrant, and trying to be an empathetic speaker or translator between both worlds. When I moved to South Carolina about 10 years ago, and one thing that really inspired me, I was fascinated to find out that South Carolina has a rich immigrant history. So for instance, Charleston, South Carolina, was the home of one of the largest Jewish communities in the United States. In the 1800s, there was a large native-born and foreign-born Jewish community in Charleston. The Irish have also enjoyed an important place in the memory of the American South. Irish immigrants started moving to Charleston and other port cities in the 1840s due to the Great Famine. And they started to become Southerners. Another important group there was a large migration of Greeks who moved to the United States in the 1890s. And in the early 1900s, they started moving to South Carolina. Professor Dino Tracus, in his book, For Memory Isn't Eternal, he speaks of the first Greek to come to Spartanburg. And that was his grandfather, Nicholas Tracus. Many of these immigrant groups that initially moved to South Carolina, they had some transnational ties back to their home countries. But they were a relatively small part of the community. They were less than 5% of the population in South Carolina. In the 1960s and 1970s, however, there was a large wave of Colombians from the country of Colombia that moved to the upstate, specifically Greenville. And they started to form a very vibrant Latino community right here in South Carolina. And, and now for the first time, Hispanic immigrants are constituting an important group in different pockets of South Carolina. You could go to Arcadia Elementary School, and it's one of three Hispanic majority schools in South Carolina. The upstate itself, there's more than 60,000 Hispanics right here in this part of the state. And it's creating in many ways a very vibrant community. And about half of Hispanic immigrants are native-born, another half are international. And it's created this vibrant community that in many ways reminds me of that immigrant community that I grew up in the Northeast, listening to songs by Julio Iglesias. And while I'm inspired by the great diversity that's here in South Carolina, one thing that's troubling me is the fact that there's a cultural divide that's grown in recent years between native and migrants. We're living in times of intense nativism, not just here in South Carolina, but in other parts of the United States, and also in other countries of the world. And this is very troubling because even the family who raised me, they also saw the dark side of nativism in the form of extreme nationalism and violence. And so to the students here today who are listening, to the natives, to the migrants, to those who might occupy a space in both worlds, what I hope for is that we have more empathetic translators and bridge builders who are able to weave together collaboratives between natives and migrants. Thank you.